Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another prospect interview here on the No Ceilings NBA podcast feed. I'm Stephen Gillespie of the Draft Sicko Show, and I have a big time prospect that I'm interviewing today. You might know him. He stands at around 7'5", somewhere around 240 pounds, from Hopkinsville, Kentucky. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jamarion Sharp. Jamarion, how we doing, man?
We're doing pretty good, honestly. Living life.
Living life. So right now you're in the middle of a transition, and we're going to talk about it here in a little bit. But how's life for you, man? Like, it's got to be an interesting change of pace. Like, you spent a few seasons playing college basketball, and now you're focusing on your future. I mean, what's this feeling like for you right now?
Honestly, it's a mixed feeling of happiness and I know it's not a word, but nervousness. Cause I'm happy that I'm on the way to reaching my goal, but I'm a little bit nervous because it's a big step in my life, like a huge step.
Mm-hmm.
And on
Yeah,
top
for sure. I mean,
then on top of that, it's I'm familiar with it, but I'm not familiar with it. But yeah.
it's still basketball, right? But
But
it's just
it's like a different type of basketball.
like, how could you explain that? Because I haven't really asked this question to very many prospects, but you're saying it's a different type of basketball. What do you mean by that?
All right, so in college, you have people that stays on top of you and stuff like that. Make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do. Make sure you're working on this and that. But with this level of basketball, it's really a job. It's literally a job. You're not gonna have anyone to tell you what to do. That you have to be here. You have to be there on time. You have to be there and do what you're supposed to do. Like it.
Mm. And I'm sure that a lot of people would struggle with something like that, but based on what I've been able to read, hear from you, I know that this is just business as usual, man. But let's go ahead and dive into this interview because I got a bunch of questions, and I know that our listeners are going to be very interested in a few of these answers. But first off, man, let's just start basic. What got you into basketball? Why are you preparing yourself now for professional level basketball? How did you get started?
I got started at a very young age by my mom. She mainly because my older brother he played basketball, so I guess she wanted me to follow into the tradition of it. So I've been playing since I was a little kid, and honestly, I've been playing for her ever since then. I've been playing for myself, but I mostly been playing for her because she the one who introduced me to it. She the one who helped me start to understand and learn the game.
Okay, right on. So, I mean, obviously, I'm going to ask a very routine question. I'm sure you get asked all the time. But have you always been big in basketball at any level, at every level that you've played?
Not well for a kid, yes, because
Yeah.
I was pretty tall for a kid, and so I've always been a five my whole life, and so around middle school, I was same height as everybody, but just a little bit taller. But then I came back my freshman year to high school, and I'm like 3 4 inches taller than everybody. I'm like, bro, like what?
That's crazy because I mean we hear about all these late growth spurt guys, but you're not necessarily a late growth spurt, but you're a constant growth
I'm a
spurt,
constant growth spurt. Honestly, I didn't stop growing until I actually got to college.
until you got to college. That's crazy because you had a pretty good basketball career going up into college, and you ended up going to play first for John A. Logan College, where you were all conference, all region. You helped the school to its first ever season, which it finished undefeated in conference play. That's major, man. By the time you finished your second season there, you were considered the top junior college player in all the nation. So, can you talk to us a little bit about? I love asking. I've spoke to a lot of players who started off in the junior college route. Michael Ajayi was one that I talked to this year, and I just think it's fascinating, man, to hear about because I think that there's a certain kind of connotation or perspective with junior college level.
Mhm.
What was your experience like?
See, me personally, I've had an amazing junior college experience. I've heard other people talk about no, I don't want to go to junior college. It's not good. It's not this and that. But my time there, I had fun. I made friends. I made relationships. I had a great basketball career. Honestly, me personally, when high schoolers mention JUCO, I tell them honestly, JUCO is really not that bad. It's not. And if we're being honest, JUCO would be a good start, especially for a freshman, like someone coming out of high school, it'd be a good start because JUCO will help you teach the basics. because instead of like just going from high school to a major D1, where there's a chance like that you won't be able to play, you probably be sitting on the bench. At JUCO, there's a bigger chance that you're going to play and develop your skills even more.
So I've heard that too, where like it's a good place to develop your skills, but there's also like a larger studio space, so to speak, to where you can like grow into a role that you kind of want, and
Yeah.
it's like it's a starting point to do that and put that skill on display to where you're going to end up with these colleges anyway that
Hmm.
are going to be interested in you, and you're going to grow up into that role, and that's what it looked like for you. I mean, again, your time at John A. Logan was crazy, and by the time that you had finished there, what was that like? Like getting re-recruited for junior college? Was it like say busier? I think it was probably busier for you than it was your high school time, right?
Yeah. So like coming out of high school, I wasn't a big star recruit. I was like probably like 1, 2 star recruit. Like I was, but at the same time, I was still developing my body. But
Hmm.
at the JUCO, I was ended up by like a 4 or 5 star, and so like I had all these big time colleges just hitting me up, and it's like wow, like and it just happened like really quick in a span of 2 years, like just 2 years.
And you ended up committing to Western Kentucky, right? And I think again, people are hearing a top junior college prospect, and you go play for the Hilltoppers,
Mhm.
and you end up being quickly like for nerds like myself, we scour the internet and we're watching film and we're looking for these unheralded prospects that aren't playing for like the high major D1 schools.
Mhm.
But we're looking at numbers. I'm sure that you've heard this before. We're looking at numbers and percentages and rates and all that stuff. And for a while, man, your name has constantly been on the top of a lot of metrics. So, I
Which is
mean,
crazy because like on social media, like especially like TikTok, okay, I would have never expected to see a video of me on TikTok, but from when I was at Western, I seen like constant videos of me on TikTok, like just constant.
well, I mean, let's we'll be real about it. I mean, you're 7'5", you have
Yeah.
a crazy block percentage, like doing stuff that like not very many people in college do. I mean, as you're playing and you're kind of getting like social media famous, I mean, that's gotta does that help you? Does that give you confidence, or is that just kind of like extracurricular stuff and you try not to really pay it no mind?
I say it's like a little bit of both. So
Okay.
like seeing my hard work pay off, other people noticing that, it makes me want to work hard. But at the same time, though, I don't mostly focus on that. Like I don't play just for attention or just to get followers and stuff like that.
Yeah, because like what Kobe said, right? The job's not finished, right? Like it's good to get that recognition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good to get that recognition, but you still got a destination that you're trying to get to. So let's talk about the junior college to Western Kentucky jump. Was that a big adjustment for you?
It was somewhat of a big adjustment, mainly because like in junior college, junior college there are a whole lot of potential like high major D1 athletes. So like I played against some really big strong dudes. I played with some really good dudes that could play D1. And so like I tried to take what I learned from JUCO and to try to transfer it over to a mid major. And once I got the hang of it, it started to become so much easier. Cause like the stuff that I learned at JUCO actually helped me adjust to stuff in mid-major D1. And that's another thing that I be trying to tell high schoolers too. Like when you go to JUCO, you perfect your craft, and then whenever you go to a bigger school, that's when like you can show them like what you can do and stuff like that.
And I think that the perception that it inhibits your potential and it inhibits like your path to the NBA, I feel like that kind of bad bug has been squashed. I mean, like the NBA is now filled with a bunch of players that have had success in the JUCO ranks. So it's good to see like basketball is so big, right? But there's people that find basketball like good basketball players everywhere now. And I think that actually helps because we keep seeing like other leagues and stuff like that start up and there's more incentives now. And I think it has to do with a lot of success that players are finding outside of that conventional like D1 route, right?
Mhm.
Um, so by the time you finish your second season with the Hilltoppers, you enter the transfer portal, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, there were tons of schools that were interested in you, a lot of them in the SEC. And Ole Miss came calling, and you committed to play for Ole Miss. What was it about that university that you felt comfortable enough kind of committing to again?
All right, so like if we're being honest, like at first it wasn't about the university, it was about Coach Beard. Like Coach Beard, like
Okay.
he set the tone for everything. So like during the whole recruiting process, you know, he was on top of it, calling me, checking up on me, seeing how I'm doing and this and that. And it got me to thinking like, okay, like this, like, cause like he was talking about other stuff. Like, okay, so like all the colleges, you know, they all say the same stuff. But
Sure.
Beard, he was saying the same stuff as them, but at the same time he was saying other stuff. Like he was telling me that he wants to play through me. He wants to show people that I'm more than just a post up big and stuff like that. And that's what he did. And like whenever I sat down and like talked to him, and we had a long discussion. I understood that he genuinely means what he says. And then another thing was, so at the time, our my my old coach, he had just left Western, and so the new coach had came in. You know, he bring in like his new squad in and stuff like that. And it just so happened that one of his assistants used to coach under Coach Beard. And
Okay.
so you know how colleges call around. I mean, when colleges want a player, you know that they'll call around asking like how the player is. So like in my
Mm-hmm.
head, I'm thinking, you know, I change the roles a little bit. You know, I'm asking coach about another coach.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, but you know, so like everything I heard about Coach Beard, you know, it was all good things. Everyone just said like he's just like a really extremely hard coach, and I'm like, you know what? It's my last year. I can deal with that, and honestly, that's what I need.
And I think that there's a lot of coaches, and we see it in the NBA even a little bit too, like with like Coach Thibodeau right now in the playoffs. There's big to do about the amount of playing time that he gives players and stuff like that. He's very demonstrative on the sideline. There are even more college coaches that do that, and I feel like when we watch it on TV, it obviously doesn't look nice. You know what I mean? But being on the other side of it as a player, it's got to be good having someone that you're accountable to and someone that they coach you hard. And
Mhm.
like sometimes that might look bad, but there's obviously a lot of other benefits to that coaching style as well, right?
Right. Because like honestly, like Coach Beard, like people say he is a hard ass, which he is, but at the same time though, like he means well. It's
Hmm.
like he wants us to do better so we can win, so we can all succeed as a team, as a culture.
Yeah, I mean, he's got expectations because he sees the potential in you, right? And when you don't meet it, it's like, come on, man, like let's get it together, right?
Exactly just like that.
There you go. All right, so something that Old Miss did this year in recruiting you, they obviously brought on another big man, right? In Cisse from Oklahoma State. There's a lot of colleges that are kind of employing like a two big man kind of rotation now, like a bullpen, so to speak. And it looked like it obviously worked out really well for you guys, man. What was it like though, going from Western Kentucky, obviously when you were in JUCO as well, like you kind of go from being like uh the big focal point to now like in Ole Miss, like you're still important, you're still playing a very pivotal role, but
Mhm.
you're kind of like tagging somebody else in, so to speak, throughout the year. That a big adjustment for you?
Not really. Mainly because like when I was at John A. Logan, I had to split time with Sidney Curry, so like he was also a big. So like I'm used to splitting time. Like even at Western, it may not seem like it, but I was splitting time with the other bigs. So like I'm used to like just splitting up my time. So like honestly, like
And
yeah, so it wasn't that really big of adjustment.
and we see it all the time in the NBA. There's not a lot of teams that just have one big man that are playing
Mhm.
like 38, 42 minutes a night and stuff like that. So I think that that's good. And you probably kind of pick up, something from playing with somebody else when like you're going in, you're feeling what the game is going on, then you can sit down and watch somebody else kind of go through the same thing, right?
Mhm. And see that's thing like with me, like I don't I don't think starting is the big deal to me. Like you know how other players be like, "Oh, I wish I want to start this and that." Like me,
Sure.
starting not a big deal to me. Like if I start, then I start. If I don't, like me personally, I don't mind coming off the bench mainly because I can see what the other team like. I can see what the plays they got going. I can see what they're doing this and that before I go in. And once I go in, I can help adjust my team to that.
Exactly. I mean, it's kind of like scouting, right? But like it's a quick scouting report before you
Like,
even get into the game,
real
right?
quick standpoint. And on top of that, like it's right there in front of your eyes, so like you can pick it up really, really fast.
Exactly. And you're hearing the coach and all the other players communicate. That's awesome. So, Jamarion, during this season, let's talk about some cool accomplishments that you had during the year. You you now have the old Ole Miss program record with 9 blocks in a game against Florida. I mean, I'm sure you remember each and every one of those blocks that night, right? That your team, speaking to how good of a teammate you are, I'm sure you know this as well. Your team actually tied like a D1 record that night with 16 blocks in a conference game. Like that's big time, right? You recorded sharing the load with Cisse. You recorded 75 blocks on the year, which led the entire SEC. And you were also only one of 95 players in NCAA history to surpass 300 career blocks. That's big time, man. Like now that the season is over, because I'm sure if I ask you this question during the season, you're going to give me that same kind of mindset that you gave me earlier. It's like the job's not finished, right? But now that the season's over and you can reflect on that, what has your time at Ole Miss meant to you?
Like honestly, like it really meant a lot to me, especially like since I was only there for a couple months. Like just those couple months there mean so much to me. Like it's not just the school, like it's the people around it. Like everyone there was just like amazing. Everyone was so welcoming, and it's just like I got there, I instantly felt a part of the family.
There you go. So I got it. Now let's kind of break. Okay. I'm going to get like draft nerd brain on you. So like you're going to enter this like draft community with me for a second. Like you're not a player anymore right now, Jamarion. You're a draft nerd like me. Okay. So if you're evaluating players, I'm going to ask you a question. So it's a big philosophy for a lot of us that rebounding and shot blocking metrics translate, right? Do you agree with that? Do you think that like with what you do as a rebounder, what you do as a shot blocker, do you think that those skills are, I'm not going to say easy because I feel like that cheapens like the amount of work that players put in, but I feel like those are probably like the most translatable skills. And when you go and look through all players who have like played pre-NBA and have succeeded, those are two metrics that translate pretty well relative to other skills. Would you agree with that based on actually playing basketball?
Honestly, yeah, I would, cause like especially rebounding. Like so, like difference with me, difference is so like rebounding and blocks. Like the only similarity is timing, like timing.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just the big thing. But so with blocks, it's a lot more difficult because you got to time it, and at the same time though, you got to try not to foul. You know what I mean? And with rebounds, all you got to do, you got to time it. You got to time it perfectly and just go get it. So, like honestly, like those two are the biggest parts. Like in my opinion, are the biggest parts of playing defense because like at the same time it's also the hardest too.
And you're the backline of defense, like so it doesn't matter how good or how not as good of a perimeter player that you're playing around. Good offensive players are going to find their way to get to you, right? And you're the last line of defense. So I find that very interesting because we hear all the time about like the speed of the game changes at each level.
Oh,
It's just interesting.
it does. It does.
It does, but it's just interesting to me that because the speed of the game changes, that big men that have good rebounding instincts and shot blocking instincts, they're able to. It seems like they're able to adapt much quicker to that speed of the game as opposed to other areas of basketball.
Well, in our reality, like you have to like if you don't just enjoy the game, then you're not getting no playing time.
It's feast or famine at that point, right?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. All right. So, Jamarion, I want to kind of transition now because you're transitioning yourself from being a historic basketball player, again, top 100 in blocks, breaking that 300 block barrier is phenomenal, man. You're transitioning to focus on professional basketball. What are you working on now? Are you obviously it feels like you got the shot blocking and rebounding on block. Are there other skills that you're trying to kind of hone in, tap into, sharpen up in order to prepare for the next chapter in your basketball life?
Yeah, I've been working on my touch a little bit more because, like, I have a nice touch for some on my side, but at the same time, though, I still want to like work on it so I can extend my range out to mid ranges and hopefully 3 points.
There you go. And it seems like the emphasis on unicorns in basketball, like at the big man position, we champion the ones that work, right? But there's still, you can even see in the playoffs now, there's still such a high level of value and high level of importance for a big man that can still do the traditional big man things and shot blocking, rebounding, screen setting, another one, right? It's good that you're working into that 3-point shot because there's obviously going to always be a place for that with a big man. But I don't know, man. Like personally, I feel like the traditional big man things are still being proven in today's game to still have a high level of importance.
Oh, they definitely do. 'Cause, if we're being honest, I'm thinking like my whole life, I'm thinking, okay, I keep doing the big man work, but hopefully in like the basic stuff, like the mic and drills and stuff like that, like the basic stuff. I'm thinking, okay, when I get to the next level, I'm not gonna do it no more. I'm not gonna do it no more. Nope. No matter what level I went to, I still have to do the basic big man stuff.
You got to do the stuff that nobody else wants to do, man. Right?
Mhm.
There you go. So, all right, Jamarion, I'm going to thank you for your time now, man, because I know that you're working on a lot. But I got one more question that I ask everybody that I interview before we close out. Let's say that an NBA team has got you sat down at a table. They're liking the numbers they see, they like the film that they see, and they ask you, Jamarion, what can we expect to get out of you on a day-to-day basis if we were to bring you into our organization?
I tell them you get all my hard work, all my work ethic, and on top of that, I'll play my role.
There you go. And that's what NBA teams want, man. Like, what did Draymond say a couple months back, right? There's like 2 stars on every team and everybody else got a role to play, right? So
Mhm.
there you go. But hey, Jamarion, man, I just want to thank you so much for your time. I know that you got a lot going on. For the people who want to kind of follow you along your journey, you got some socials that you can throw out for people to kind of see what's going on with you?
Yeah, my Instagram is _official Jamar _, and my Twitter handle is JAAMMAARION.
There you go. All right. Well, so for everybody tuning in and listening, I just want to thank you so much. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, rate, and review. Continue to tune in to everything that we're doing with No Ceilings. We got a bunch of prospect interviews down the line. But again, Jamarion, man, thank you so much for your time. And we'll be keeping up with you, man. Don't be a stranger. All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
All right.